Beaches have always terrified me. Not because of sharks or drowning, but because of what happened one summer night when I was 16. Back then, I loved the beach. Every summer meant late nights, loud music, and the kind of freedom you only get when you're a teenager. My best friend Charles had a family beach house on Long Beach Island, Bin. That place was our paradise. That summer, Charles invited me and our other friend Riley to stay for a weekend. No parents, no rules. Riley had just gotten his license, so we drove down together, blasting music and laughing the whole way. The air smelled like sunscreen and salt water. We didn't know it yet, but it would be the last time any of us ever felt safe there. Charles's beach house sat along a Lagoon, a narrow channel of water that led out to the bay. Behind the house was a small backyard pool and a dock that stretched out into the water. On the other side of the lagoon were other houses, empty and dark that weekend. The plan was simple: relax, drink, smoke, maybe meet some girls. And we did by that evening. We'd managed to invite 3 girls over: Rosie, Alexa, and Sophie. They were fun, easygoing, and just as reckless as we were. We spent hours in the pool out back, passing joints and bottles around, laughing over stupid jokes. The music was loud, the air was warm, and for a while, everything was perfect. Then Charles suddenly turned the music off. He froze, staring past me toward the lagoon. "What?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, in a low voice, he said, "There's someone on the dock across the water." We all turned to look. The opposite dock was barely visible in the dark, but I thought I saw movement. "Probably just a neighbor," I said, trying to laugh it off. Charles shook his head. "No, the people who live there are in Florida. I know them." That's when the mood shifted. The girls got nervous. We decided to head inside, thinking it was just some drunk tourist or something. As we were drying off, Riley suddenly cursed and pointed. "Dude, there's more of them." Now, even in the dim light, I could make out shapes for tall figures, standing side by side on the opposite dock, staring straight at us. For a few seconds, none of us said a word. Then a passing car's headlights briefly illuminated the water, and we saw them clearly. 4 silhouettes, still, facing us. Charles whispered, "Go inside, now." We hurried toward the sliding door, but before we made it in, we heard it 4 splashes. They were swimming across the lagoon. We ran inside, slamming the door shut. Riley locked it while Charles ran to lock the front. Everyone was panicking. The girls were crying. Nobody knew what to do. We huddled in one of the rooms away from the windows, listening at first. It was quiet. Then Riley's face went pale. He realized he had forgotten to lock the upstairs sliding door, the one that led out to the deck. Seconds later, we heard footsteps above us. Slow, careful, deliberate. That was all it took. We bolted, 6 terrified kids, sprinting out the front door, piling into Riley's car. He tore out of the driveway, nearly taking out the mailbox in the process. We didn't stop until we were miles away. When we finally called the cops, they told us to meet them back at the house. By the time we returned, the place was a mess. The upstairs had been ransacked, jewelry, electronics gone. But that wasn't even the worst part. Charles's family bought a medium-sized Boston Whale, missing the dot that thieves had stolen. The spare keys that Charles's dad kept hidden in a small hatch below the steering wheel. The police said that's how they escaped so fast by water. But what haunted me most wasn't what they took. It was how they knew. How did they know the family was out of town? How did they know where the keys were hidden? The police never found the boat. No suspects. No arrests. Nothing. To this day, I have no idea who those 4 people were, or what they wanted besides the obvious. But every now and then, when I hear the soft sound of water lapping against a dock, I think about that night, the dark shapes across the lagoon, the sound of them diving in, swimming closer, silently crossing the black water toward us. And I still make sure every door and window in my house is locked before I go to bed. Because somewhere out there, those people are still free. And if they could swim across a lagoon in the dead of night, they could easily cross a yard.